Hello and welcome to today's lesson. In today's lesson, we will be exploring calculating tax, tips, and discounts. Before we start, I want to talk about a shortcut we can use when we're finding the percentage of a whole. In previous lessons, we've been using the percent proportion to solve percentage problems. But when we're finding the percentage of a whole, we can do that by multiplying the whole number, the whole amount by the decimal equivalent of the percentage. Here's what I mean. Say we were trying to find 7% of 28. Now, in previous lessons, we did this. X over 28 equals 7 over 100. Okay, that's how we solved it in previous lessons. But a shortcut way of finding 7% of 28 is just to multiply the decimal equivalent of 7%, which is 0.07, times 28. Let's practice that in these first couple of examples. In example 1, it says find each percentage by multiplying the decimal equivalent of the percentage by the whole. So if we're trying to find 25% of 24, that's the same thing as multiplying 0.25 times 24. So we'll take 24 and multiply it by 0.25. 4 times 5 is 20. That'd be 10, 11, 12. Drop a 0. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Add that all up. 2 plus 8 is 10. 4, 5, 6. Now, what you have to be very careful with here is to note how many numbers you have after the decimal place. That's 2, so we want to be sure to move our decimal in 2 places. So 25% of 24 is equal to 6. All right. 8% of 52 would be the same thing as 0.08 times 52. So let's multiply that out. 2 times 8 is 16. 8 times 5 is 40 plus the 1. Drop a 0. Now, 0 times anything is going to be 0 here on our next row. So 6, 0, 4. And please note, we have 2 numbers after the decimal place. So we want to move this decimal in 2 places. So 8% of 52 is 4.06. All right. 150% of 30 is the same thing as 1.5 times 30. So 30 times 1.5. This would be 0. 5 times 3 is 15. Drop a 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 3 is 3. 0, 5, 4. I have one number after the decimal in this problem, so I want to move my decimal in 1 time. So 150% of 30 is 45. Now, we're going to use this process to solve some real-world problems involving tax, tips, and discounts. So hopefully you've noticed that when you go to the store to purchase things, they add a percentage on, and that's called the sales tax. The sales tax usually goes to fund city services such as roads and police and things like that. All right. So when Ellen purchased a new pair of shoes for $49, the sales tax rate is 7%. And we want to calculate the sales tax. So we're trying to find what is 7% of 49. So the decimal equivalent is 7% is 0.07, and we want to multiply that times the $49. So 49 times 0.07, 9 times 7 is 63, 7 times 4 is 28, plus 6 is 34. Drop a 0, and remember 0 times 9 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, so these are just going to be zeros. Add that all up. And note, we have two numbers after the decimal, so we want to move our decimal in 2 times. So 7% of $49 means you have a tax of $3.43. And the question says, calculate the total amount she's going to pay for these shoes. Well, for tax, we add that on to the total. So she's going to pay the $49 for the shoes, plus she's going to pay $3.43 in tax. I'll have to add a couple zeros here as placeholders. So 3, 4, 9 and 3 is 12, carry the 1. So she's going to pay a total of $52.43 for the sneakers once they add the tax. Example 3. Josh has a 25% coupon that he's going to use to buy a new pair of headphones, which cost $210. Calculate his discount. So we're trying to determine what is 25% of 210. So the decimal equivalent for 25% is 0.25, and we're going to multiply that by the whole, which is 210. So 210 times 0.25, this would be 0, 5, 10. Drop a 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 5, 2, 5. Move our decimal in 2 places. So he's going to receive a discount of $52.50. And we want to calculate the final price. Now, we're not dealing with tax here. We just want to know what's his final price of the headphones before the tax. So we're going to take the... also, we need to decide if we're going to add or subtract. Because a coupon is a discount, that means we're subtracting this amount, this $52.50. We're subtracting that from the total price. So 210 minus $52.50. We'll have to add a couple of placeholders here. So let's figure that out. That would be 10, that would be 9, this would be 5, no minus 2 is 7, 5, that would be 16. So he will pay $167.50 for the headphones. Example 4. Rory went to a restaurant and he wants to leave a 15% tip on his meal, which came to $22. Calculate the amount Rory will leave for a tip. So we're trying to find 15% of $22. So that would be 0.15 times 22. Now, what I'd like you to do is pause the video and try problems A and B on your own. When you're done, press play to come back and check your answers. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you did on calculating the amount of the tip. 5 times 2 was 10, carry the 1, 10, 11, drop a 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2, 0, 3, 3, move my decimal in 2 places. So, did you get $3.30 for your tip amount? Now, to calculate Rory's total cost, he has to pay for his meal, which is $22, and he's going to add on the tip, which is $3.30. So when I add that together, the total cost would be $25.30. All right, example 5. A refrigerator is priced at $525.50. There is a 6% sales tax rate. In part A, they want you to calculate the sales tax. So the decimal equivalent for 6% is 0.06, and we're going to multiply that by 525.50. All right, pause the video and try problems A and B on your own. When you're ready to check your answers, press play and then check your answers. Welcome back. Let's see how you did on calculating the tax. 525.50 times 0.06. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. That would be 33. Carry another 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 31. Drop a 0. Now 0 times anything is 0, so all these would just be 0 again. When we add that up, we get, I want to move my decimal in excuse me. I want to move my decimal in 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So my tax here is $31.53. So the final price, $525.50 plus 31.53, 5, 6, 7, 5, and 5. Our total price with the tax is $557.03. And that concludes today's lesson, Tax, Tips, and Discounts.